We had some new news this morning outside of TikTok. Facebook apparently is going to limit or even not buy political ads on the platform a week before the election. So they're trying to say, listen, you want to throw up a political ad or you want to call the result early, we're not going to accept the ads a week early. Number one, your take on that. Number two, do you think we could see other social media platforms, I don't know if this applies to Instagram, by the way, John, or not, Twitter and others, do the same thing? As we talked about the other day, kind of have a pause period given the implications of the election.
Well, first, Brian, good to see you. I got to address, the issues on both sides there, since I completely contradicted myself, as I do. And on the other hand, yes, there are some fraught issues here when it comes to TikTok and what they're doing with the data. I think a question is this kind of a one-off situation where it's just Chinese companies that are going to end up getting singled out? And if so, does that leave us wide open to security issues from other companies, maybe originating in other countries? I mean, there are certainly ways that even Chinese interests could do an end around. So that's an issue. As for the 1 week sort of moratorium on new political ads as we get 1 week before the election, it seems smart to me, because in that sense, at least, there are going to be other types of ads that try to influence people's impressions about what's happening in society that might not be strictly labeled as political ads. But this will give Facebook some breathing room to really analyze what's going on in the network, to take stuff that's blatant and that might be trying to influence the election in a way that isn't kosher, and really zero in on that, Brian.
Well, the other aspect of this, John, might be do something yourself before the government may do it for you, right? It's like you've got kids. It's like, oh, don't worry, Dad, you don't need to punish me. I'll give you my phone for a day, because they don't want you to take it for 3 days. I think Facebook and others know that if we have more issues with the election with their platforms, it could be a big Uncle Sam coming in with punishment rather than them sort of, quote, punishing themselves by losing a week of revenue on the ad side.
I don't think this is going to I don't think that this is really going to prevent government action. I mean, can you imagine the government saying you can't run political ads on TV the week before the election? I don't think that would happen. I don't see how they carve out a special case for social. But I think Facebook does want to have
on the other hand, those TV ads are vetted. On the other hand, those TV ads are vetted, are they not? I mean, it's a lot different to produce up. They got to be approved. They've got to be checked out, right? That's big different than somebody just sort of, coming up with an ad on their own to throw across Facebook and 1 million people see it before somebody can realize that it's just bogus, I think is the California term for it.
There is, I think you're right, there is a volume issue online. I mean, you're certainly right about that. There's a limited number of TV stations, cable networks that matter for delivering a message en masse in the election, as opposed to when it comes to social media, you can put a ton of these things out. And then, even though there is a vetting process, it would be the election time or after by the time you end up catching some of this stuff that was bad. So I think that's part of what Facebook wants to catch up to. But, I hear what you're saying, Brian. I still don't think politicians are going to kneecap themselves, even if it looks like it makes sense to keep themselves from putting out new messages a week before an election.